Meeting started. I'm Councilman Busenbarg, acting as Mayor Pro Tem for the meeting. Mayor Byrd and Councilman White are unavailable. Councilwoman Goodrich is here, and Councilman Allen and Councilman Barrett are joining us via Zoom. So we do have a quorum. So we can go ahead and begin the meeting. I've asked Councilwoman Goodrich to give us an opening prayer, and I've asked I'll have to to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll go to that point.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be for this day. We're grateful, Father, for the blessing that we have to live in this country, for the freedoms that we enjoy, and for the blessings that brings into our life. We ask you, Father, to be with us this night, that we will make wise decisions that will best benefit the members of our community, and that we will be guided in the things that we do here. And this we pray for in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America and to the republic, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you very much. Did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes from the March 19th meeting? And does anyone have any additions, corrections? I'll entertain a motion.
A motion that we approve.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Goodrich to approve. Do I have a second? Good luck with that, Sunshine.
Can we say that Councilman Baird seconded that?
Sure.
Good. Thank you. So the minutes stand approved. We're now at the public comment period. We ask that each speaker take no more than 3 minutes of time. You're welcome to make comment. We ask you come up to the podium, state your name, where you live, and we'll go ahead and go to public comment if anyone has any public comment to make.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
My name is Cheyenne Morris. I live over on 180 West Twitter South, just a couple blocks away next to the Joint Witness Church. I have come to ask for a exemption on building private defense against city code. We talked to Drew Eschler, and he had said that we are not in code if we build a 6-foot fence on our existing property because it would block on the west side our neighbor's driveway. I have photo proof that it does not block. If you're pulling in or backing out of that driveway. And just as a example of why it would benefit our family to have a private fence that is 6 foot, my husband is a PTSD veteran, and it is a measure of security for our property and for our family to have a privacy fence that allows our children to go play in the backyard without having to worry about anyone really looking in on our property and no one being able to grab them out of our yard, as that is a concern to my husband. It would also allow us to have a service dog for him that wouldn't constantly bark at anything that he would see. It would just bark at what is on our property at the time. I don't know if you guys need me to turn this into you, to be able to see it.
Drew, do you have those?
I don't, and I've not talked to you.
No, you talked to my, the contractor,
Yeah.
Cleston Pace.
Okay.
And he had said that you had said that it was against
Yeah.
code and that we needed to talk to somebody for it.
I think we've got a fix to move it off the property line.
Yes, but there's no reason to move it off.
Let's chat, maybe I can get those pictures.
So yeah, I recommend getting with Drew Eschler first, and then if you can't get it done that way, you're always welcome to come to council, but it would need to be an action item for us to act on it. And,
Okay.
But we appreciate your comment and hope we can get this resolved for you. So thank you.
My name's Jenny Thompson. How many of you would be willing to play in a basketball game with a group of people, and some of them think it's okay if they cheat a little? And some of the others who don't cheat are willing to turn a blind eye on the cheating. People who cheat a little are still cheating. I don't like to play with cheaters. Living in a community is like playing a basketball game together. There are rules to the game. We call them laws and ordinances. In order for things to go smoothly, peacefully, safely, everyone has to play by the rules. If some people are allowed to cheat, even a little, that violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. In the last city council meeting, I was a topic of discussion, and I'd like to shed some light on the subject. Back in October, I was accused of stalking by two of my neighbors because I pay attention to what's going on around me. I spoke up when I saw unrestrained dogs, especially when they were allowed over and over and over and over to be off the owner's property. I know well from personal experience and the personal experiences of others how dangerous unrestrained dogs are, how they're capable of being when even when they barely set foot off of the owner's property for just a few seconds. So I had to represent myself in court against these neighbors, and the judge correctly ruled in my favor and explained to the two petitioners that I was absolutely within my rights reporting law breaking to the police. And I'm just going to read quickly the First Amendment to the Constitution. So it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition government for redress of grievances. Our police swear an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, and yet it was revealed in court that it was the police who told at least one of my neighbors that the best way to deal with me was to have a civil stalking injunction placed on me. So I was served with papers placing 2 temporary civil stalking injunctions on me that would be in place for 3 years. All because I exercised my constitutional right to petition the government for redress of my grievances. All because I spoke up when I saw something wrong. If what this neighbor said in court is true, my constitutional rights were violated because of someone on the police force. I would like to see city council and all city employees go through regular, rigorous training about the U.S. Constitution in an effort to preserve our God-given rights and to save our country. And Patriot Academy is the place I would recommend for this training. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the board or council? All right. Thank you, and we'll go ahead and continue with our meeting. We have no council appointments, I believe, is that correct? Okay. So, no committee appointments, so we're now to Mike with the municipal code. Mike, do you want to just give us a brief idea of all the stuff that's going on with the code, and then we'll go into public hearing and discuss them a little more?
Yeah, Hanson, I'm a church community consultant. Thanks for having us on your agenda. I know it's not a really tiny agenda item, but boy, we looked back in our files, and I think it was early 2022 when our team was approached and partnered with formerly Roosevelt City with the goal of trying to find ways that city government can work better with residents and developers and property owners, business owners, and all that through the different regulations, in your city code. And so we got into that, and we've been working. We've touched every single title in the Roosevelt City Municipal Code. It covers all the issues. It goes to public safety. It goes to traffic, land use. You name it, the finance, all of it. We have been working in a number of work sessions, quite a few work sessions, in person and online, with both the planning commission and city council, and of course city staff are probably done. They're probably going to block us as soon as you guys are done. But we've been massaging language, researching current state statute, federal rules, all that kind of stuff, trying to get everything updated. What we're presenting tonight, to the council is, it's not your complete book, so we're coming back, in an upcoming meeting to talk about the zoning. But outside of zoning, you've got a number of titles before you, that we'd love to hear any last thoughts, tweaks, that, just didn't seem to get in there. And what we're not, we're not trying to represent, we're presenting a perfect code, to the city, because there is no such thing. But this code is significantly refined from what you had before. It will hopefully help, administrators of the code, recipients of regulations, that your residents, business owners, even other jurisdictions. I know they've been looking over the fence and seeing what you guys have been doing and probably starting copying and pasting some of your policy. But what we're presenting tonight is for, I believe, final adoption on, I don't have the list right in front of me, but most of your titles will go with that.
Yeah, so the titles in question are 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 10, and 12. So there's.
Yeah, and you do have a number of those titles also that aren't, for adoption, but in your code currently has reserved, I think or something like that. Those are titles that are just, there, in case we need to insert something later, which we did try, and, didn't pull that trigger. But that's what we're placing for you.
Drew?
So, as Mike mentioned, we have Title I, which is general provisions, Title II, administration and personnel, Title III, revenue and finance, Title V, business licenses and regulations, Title VIII, health and safety, Title X, vehicle and traffic, and Title XII, street, sidewalks, and public places. So a lot of these have been before this council meeting, obviously, for review. Title XII, we're tweaking a few things. Nature Park, we added some verbiage. The golf course, we added a little bit of verbiage in there, which I think you guys have probably reviewed as well. The other one, Mike, help me remember, we did snow removal,
Yeah.
which would be in Title 10.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, snow removal and traffic on street parking. So we did
In
touch
fact,
on that.
I know you don't want to have another big debate. But that is one piece that I think that resolved in your motion, is part of our .12.75 parking and snow removal.
I actually wrote that. It's in the policy.
We just think you can either, you gotta pick one or two. We think we have two solutions in one problem.
What was the reference to that?
It's R10.12.75. If it helps, I can share my screen and show you.
I've got it.
You got it, okay. The reason why we want you to look at that again, I know we did talk about this before. We read it again, and the second question is, how can the city best keep the roads clear, which is what everybody's demanding, and yet still try to accommodate on-street parking, which a lot of folks really need and want. And the way it's written right now, it kind of says two things at the same time. You see, what you're looking at there is a formatted suggestion that you get to pick either one or the other. But right now, points 1 and 2, in the current draft up, I guess that is what you would get. So before you adopt it, if you were to just say, yeah, it's not perfect. It says parking you can't do it in the winter, that's what 1 says. And then 2 says, hey, if you're parking on the street in the winter, yeah, then move it after a storm. So we're going to say, you should probably clean that up and do one or the other. You would say, just straightforward, everything in the winter is street parking, or allow it with that 48-hour window afterward.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, so the thing you're looking at there, I've changed it so you keep the peach type text and delete that purple shade, or you keep your purple shade and you delete the peach. You can keep one or two. We don't recommend keeping both. Also, we thought we should define what a winter month is for Roosevelt. We thought, well, we'll start December to March.
Better increase that to July on something.
I've been out there, but yeah.
Do you want to run over the Title 12 changes real quick in the nature park and golf course?
Do we need to move to public hearing, or do you want to go over the code
Do you
first?
want, we can talk first and then go to the public hearing if you want to just address those real quick.
Sorry, we're talking-
Title 12.
Okay, in 12, we're going to go now.
No, you're in 10.
I'm sorry.
We did add a new section for the nature park where it's a newly acquired, newly used park for us, so we don't have any code that covered that. So we worked with the RCC on some other places in the state that is similar to our nature park. Let's see.
I'm waiting for the index to load, like scroll to wherever, the citation where it
It's
is.
gonna be at the bottom.
Yeah, it's actually in pink because it's new, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, yeah. Not that one.
It's just freezing up on me, I'm trying.
There's a lot of data there.
It's just not, it's not wanting to move now.
Yeah, it was pretty
Oh,
long.
great. If you're talking about the carts and the use of the golf property, it's on R12.20.120.
Not that one.
Nope, you want that.
I would say technology is great when it works.
40 pages, so it's not really long. Let's scroll this.
So what section are we looking at? Are we looking at the nature park section or?
21.
Right, if we're talking about the Title 12, which is the street sidewalk public places, I'm in R12.20.1, well, we started this new edited 110 and then 120. Basically, I think the thrust of it is just, the golf course be used for stuff other than golf.
Until we need the theater at the end of their days.
Yeah, we can start with golf course and move to nature park.
Mike, could you read that reference? We're having troubles loading our.
Good. Which one you for the nature?
Let's do the golf course first.
Yeah, the golf is pretty straightforward. It's R12.20.120.
We're up and loaded now. We just gotta get to it.
You'll see down in part 3, it's basically, well, the rationale is, you can't just go to the baseball diamond and start playing golf. And so the folks that are paying to play golf don't want people playing baseball on the golf course. So we've got language in there that just says, it's not a place to go walking or biking or whatever. It's just for golf. We've had some feedback from been one letter. Has there been other feedback that we have heard about? So, I've had a number of people reach out to me with concerns about these changes. It's always been open and people have been allowed to walk on a golf course and do other things, and I understand that there's probably liability, but I don't know if this is something we need to discuss or maybe find areas of compromise, like if there is an area we can have a walking path around it, but I would be open to this discussion on that. Probably like to hear more from the public also.
Yeah, I would,
I think
go,
this is a little bit of a hot topic. Here, I think we should address this topic in a public hearing rather than put it in a bomber and change all, you know what I mean? How do you feel about it?
we actually learned,
Here, sorry, go ahead, Don.
No, go ahead and finish your thought.
I'd like to hear probably, from Mayor and a few others also, not, hear from the public, but also hear, kind of problems that have been happening, that there is some liability issues and just kind of get all sides of it. I think we do need to have a set meeting for this one.
We're planning to go to public hearing for these codes. I think recommendation would probably be to maybe wait on R12, but take input obviously in the public hearing. But I think we don't have to decide on R12 tonight, but, so I think that would probably be better, Drew.
Yeah, I agree. Also, the nature park sections in this that you probably haven't got a good look at, so
Yeah,
the recommendation would probably be to table 12.
right. Yeah, because I had a question on the golf course and the nature park, just a couple of minor things, so, are we good to go to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I motion we move to public hearing.
Okay, motion's been made that we go to public hearing to discuss the, codes 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 10, and 12. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll second it, but is there any other changes before we go into public hearing that I don't know about that are going to impact it? I heard about the noise ordinance, is that gonna be, that issue?
Yeah, there is a noise ordinance in there.
Yeah, we did roll in a noise ordinance that we didn't have before. It fell under the nuisance in general, but it didn't specify the noise ordinance. And we do have that in as well. Mike, do you have that reference on where that is exactly?
It's R8 40, approximately R8, Title 8, and I think it's around 40, because I remember reading that and I had put a question about it as well, so,
According to regulations, as soon as the load is mother.
yeah, of course, it's the bottom one, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna take you a minute to load as well, it's fair, we got a lot of changes in there. Have we had problems with, noise, is there people calling about, I know we have the truck issue, but I'm wondering what other noise issues we're having.
Yeah, we have had, Councilman Baird, we have had complaints in the past and no good way to enforce it as far as just loud music late at nights and those types of things. And the officers have been dispatched, but not a good way to enforce a code that's not been there.
Okay, and this is not something that you can use to take care of those issues.
It didn't cover it, no.
How do we, so we have, these vehicles like services.
Yes.
Is that something that we have to invest in?
I had the same question, we might have to, but we'll have to first see if we pass all these or not, so. We had a motion and a second to go into public hearing to discuss the ordinances. Let's just go ahead and have a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're now in a public hearing, discussing, the codes 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 10, and 12. Drew, could you just repeat what those are again? One was general.
We've got Title 1, General Provisions, Title 2, Administration and Personnel, Title 3, Revenue and Finance, Title 5, Business, Licensing and Regulations, Title 8, Health and Safety, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Title 12, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places.
Okay, thank you for repeating that. Is there any here that would like to speak to the code in the community?
Any of these codes?
Sure.
By way of introduction, I'm Trudy Duncan, and I'm a native of the basin, and I've lived in Roosevelt 40-some years, and my husband and I worked on the golf course.
And we've not had any near misses or almost been hit or anything with the golf ball. We try to walk the perimeter of the golf course. We're very respectful of the golfers. I guess I find it too restrictive to say that we as residents can't walk on golf course. I know it's intended for golf use. I don't think liability is a huge issue. I've done a lot of research on it. Logan has a golf course with a path that goes right through it. I called and said, do you have liability issues? No, we don't have any liability issues with that. My son will be on a golf course in Phoenix. There's several. And I know that we need to take consideration for our own golf course, but I also think that we need to take consideration for our community residents. And this is an experience that I really have enjoyed in Roosevelt, and I am not in the way of the golfers. I totally respect their use of the golf course, so I guess I'm in opposition to the non-golf uses when it. Well, I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I'm in agreement with Ruby and Roger Collinger. I live next to hole 14. And I just think clearly I like to walk the perimeter as well and be mindful of golfers. And it's just a beautiful place, and I appreciate all that they do for upkeep and everything on the golf course. And I'd like to just see that we can still use it, those that aren't used. So.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Garrett Grant, and I'm the lead design mechanics here at Roosevelt. I live on Mason Circle, off hole 7 up the golf course. I've got a season pass at the golf course, and I've had one for years and years. Obviously, I use the golf course. I feel it really is an issue with the walkers on there. Also, people using it as a dog park as well. Not only is it a liability issue, but it also holds up play and detracts from the golf course itself. There are plenty of walking parks and city parks that could be used for this purpose, and I just want to list one people I'm adamantly against doing is just walking parks.
Thank you. Anyone else on any of the codes?
So I'm Jenny Thompson again. I just have a couple of thoughts. I was thinking about the golf course. I would like to see the golf course be left to be like the word golf course without dogs and stuff there. I also feel like there's other places to walk and do things, and just to like keep the golf course nice. I know they have to like, the grass has to be treated really careful, stuff like that. And there's other things I would like to see. I don't know if this comes under any of these titles, but I would like to see other things be used what they're made for, like the sidewalks to be for pedestrians. People park on them all the time, and I get tired of seeing it. Before I moved here, I lived in Vernal. I went to county commission meetings all the time. And I remember listening to a construction company talking about laying concrete, and just based on things that I learned overhearing conversations like this, like if I understood correctly, the sidewalks and stuff is not really a grade of concrete that's meant to have vehicles parked on it. Like it's not as sturdy as like the road that's made of concrete. And I get tired of seeing people park on like the edges of them because it breaks it down. It wears out the sidewalks. That's something that all of us end up having to pay for repairs. So I kind of like things being set for like certain things, including at the park. One of my biggest complaints is I'm tired of having dogs come after me that are unrestrained. In the past 5 months, I've had 2 aggressive dogs come after me that I had to fight to defend myself from being attacked. So the walking park's not a dog park. It's not for people to go turn their dogs loose. So yeah, I would like to see things designated for specific things. Another thing on the noise ordinance. So I moved here at the end of July, and during the warm weather months when it was warm enough to be outside, I had to call and call and call and call the police about our neighbors and their noise. Music was a problem most of the time. I mean, like, we couldn't even go out and just sit on our own patio in the evening and enjoy it because the neighbors' music was so loud. You could hear the rhythm, you could hear the words, you could hear the music, everything, and it would go on for hours. The longest that it went on was in the fall where we sat one evening and listened to her. It went on for 3 solid hours with their music just blaring. So I would like to see some noise ordinances for daytime hours as well, because it's been a problem in the daytime. So that would be really helpful for a noise ordinance.
Okay, thank you. And I believe it is in there for the noise ordinance. When I looked at it, we didn't have one before, but it is daytime and evening. And it is in there. If you go to the Roosevelt website, the city codes, you can go to the there, and the new codes are listed if you want to go through those and look at them as well. They're available for everyone to see. Anyone else from the community that would like to comment on any of the codes? Aaron, could I get you to come up and just talk a little bit about the...
You bet. Like my job is to watch out who's best in the best interest for the city and the golf course where I'm at. The majority of the walkers are not a problem at all. Honestly, they're not the issue. The problem that we run into is the frequency that people are walking and using the golf course now that are non-golfers. So in regard to looking out for the city, we're trying to let everybody know and enforce that, you can't be on there unless you're already paying customer using it for golf. Like that. With that being said, I know that the majority of them are doing it at times when there's not golfers, and it's harmless. It's just we're having a struggle telling them they can do it and telling others that they can't. But we will support whatever direction the council wants to go. Make work whatever we can make work. So.
And I assume the golf committee is for not allowing walkers, as the golf committee discussed it?
There currently is not a organized functioning committee.
Okay. I thought there was, sorry. Okay. Great. Well, thank you. Any questions for Aaron while he's up here?
Is the golf course subsidized by taxpayers?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So I just.
Okay. All right, just checking to see, was there any other questions, comments related to code? All right, thanks, Aaron. Drew, if you could step up, just question, what would be your recommendation since you've been kind of spearheading and working on this?
Yeah, as well as Mike, I've researched and studied and come through pretty finely on these titles, and all the titles except for 12 where we have a little bit of new verbiage, adding the nature park and some of the golf course discussions tonight. The other titles of the code I would feel comfortable if the council does pass. I feel like it would cover Roosevelt City's interest in updating and getting up with 2024.
The only concern I have is I think, I think we probably need a little discussion, so I'm wondering if maybe 10 and 12 we wait on, and then maybe.
I apologize, 10 was where the snow removal
Right.
section is as well. So yeah, 12 and 10. And one thing to keep in mind, and I think I've spoken with the council in the past, this, and like Mike said, just echoing what he said, this isn't going to be a fine-tuned, polished code. But it's a code that we can work with, and on a yearly basis, I recommend that we as staff and council come together on any revisions and the public and address it on a yearly basis instead of a 10-year basis like we're doing now. Drag it up for a year and a half. So.
Thank you. Seeing no further comment from the public, we need a motion to public hearing.
I'll move that we move out of the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, could you, just for fun, would you mind, I know it's a pain, but could you pull up R104080 on Mike's here? R1040, yeah, 080. I'm sorry, this one made me laugh, and maybe because I'm not very bright. R104080. Yeah, it says the repeal of an ordinance shall not repeal the repealing clause of the ordinance derived or in any ordinance which has been repealed thereby. Can someone, Mike, can you tell me what that says?
Yeah, we put that on purpose just to see if you guys read it. Oh my God, that is the worst sentence ever written.
I just figured it was legalese, like lawyers or something, because I had to read it like 3 times and said, what? It sounds like a null sentence, like it's gone back on itself, so you can't do what you said you could do that you couldn't do.
I actually think from even when you track changes so many times and you go back and forth, something didn't disappear. There's 2 sentences switched together there.
All right, well, I just,
Oh my God, I just think you have to write that whole thing. That doesn't even make sense.
well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I thought it was stupid because I read it 3 times and I'm like, what are you saying here? Drew, I was gonna ask Drew, but I didn't get a chance, so. But I want you to know I did read it, Mike, obviously, so.
I love that. Yeah, 2 years of staring at this and we come up with one of those. I think what it's trying to say is if you repeal an ordinance, then it doesn't provide an old ordinance or something.
Right.
Like the one you did before that. That's not English, but we see what it's trying to say. I think I can quietly make that sort of motion.
Okay, well, and as Drew said, I think that this is a dynamic, not a static document, like we'll be adjusting, and as we find issues, obviously we'll have to fix those, so, do you have a motion about the codes?
I will motion that we approve 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8.
Do you have a second?
And let's fix the language in R104080.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
I've got a second by Councilman Allen, I think. I can't tell very well, but I thought it was Councilman Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I haven't been asking opposed, everyone's saying aye. Awesome. Thank you so much for all your work, Mike and Drew and all those that have been helping with that. I think there's some good things coming. But I do agree, I think we're be remiss to do 10 and 12 without having a little more discussion at this time. I think we're just not quite ready. And based on comment from the community, both sides, I think we need to have a little more discussion. So anyway.
And just as a reminder, we will be bringing back some of the other titles. So it's good. That's what it was all about.
Well, again, I appreciate all the work, and like I said, the one made me laugh, so I'm glad I got a good laugh out of it. But I did think I was kind of stupid. All right, Rhonda, you're up and present the budget, and then we'll go into another public hearing.
Everybody's favorite section, budget.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are asking for a adjustment to the current fiscal year 24 budget. You've got in front of you something that looks like what's on the screen. Basically, we're asking that we increase the revenues by just under 800,000, and that with the different changes that you see here will ultimately result in most of that being pushed towards capital projects. So that we can increase the amount that we designate for the capital projects. The increases that you see, the courts have increased. Those are due to two lawsuits that the city has finalized, as well as the increase for the city attorney that was approved. That is the increase there. Admin and admin services, that's just kind of an offset. We're still struggling to get everybody to understand where to code things, but we've just tried to separate those, and it's a slow process. Not a lot of changes other than that. Public Works, the increase there had to do with the changes in the budget. So Kirby had some in that budget, some funds that had already been utilized for sidewalk repair and some things like that. But they weren't paid in a timely manner. We didn't get the bills in a timely manner. So we're just really kind of rolling that over from the last budget where it was disallowed. Buildings and grounds, we have a new full-time personnel that equates for that increase. Airport, remember what's driving the airport increase. Hang on, let me see if I can find my notes here. Oh, no, that's not the airport. 47,000 is the police department. So the police department was actually granted over $48,000 in funds from a court case that the courts are regulating that they have to be spent a certain way. Anyway, so you're seeing the increase here, but we also have that increase in the revenues up above. Then we have the animal shelter. Unfortunately, Rose has seen a lot of increases in prices and veterinary. However, she has, being Rose, she has found some pretty ingenious ways to work around those. We're hoping that going forward, it won't be as severe as it's been so far this year. She's actually loading up animals and driving them out to Provo now. So.
Yeah, that's what she said. Councilman Baird and I were there Friday last week. And Rose does an outstanding job and is always trying to do the best she can for the animals and for the city. So
yes, for sure. Most of the rest of these, the cemetery, that's an adjustment. We have the fund that was set up for repairs and headstone repairs and that type of thing at the cemetery, and that just needed to be rolled over from prior years. And the golf course is the one large increase that we see. It's mostly driven by personnel, and I did not have the time to dig in. I will be working with Brock just to make sure that we've got things coded properly. But all in all, with all of this said and done, we still will end up being able to increase what we push to capital projects from 971,000 to 1.4 million.
good.
And so that is what we have on the general fund. Debt services, a slight increase for some interest expenses on the pool, annual payments. Capital projects, you have a breakdown that shows last year we had budgeted $11.3 million in capital budget projects. We actually completed 2.6 million. So this proposed capital budget of 12.7 million is rolling over a lot of those projects to the new fiscal year, as well as the new projects. The one new one that I have added that we are asking to be approved is $60,000 for a compressor. I'm looking at Lee like, right, Chief? We want to we need to replace the air compressor for the fire department. They need to breathe when there's a fire and it's non-functioning.
Man, sure that's gonna work.
Yeah. You don't want like air, you know?
We appreciate what Chief does. So.
Yes, for sure. With all of that said, we'll transfer 1.4 million from the general fund. Then we have 1.4 million in grants and interest and other income. And then the CIB funds to offset for project at the ballparks. And that will bring 6 million in. So we will be then the other yellow on the right side of that form you're looking at. 6.6 million will be utilized from the sinking funds that the city has, which when it's all said and done, will leave 6.5 million uncovered and 8.4 million with those that are reserved. And those are the projects below that we're trying to reserve some monies towards cemetery expansion, upgrading some irrigation systems and water lines and sewer lines and what have you. None of those are new projects, the things we've talked about before. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Rhonda? Seeing none.
Okay, I move that we go into public hearing to reopen and amend the budget.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Second on Councilman Baird, or Allen, excuse me, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. So we're now in public hearing to discuss the 22-24 budget amendment and the changes that Rhonda just mentioned. Was there any here that would like to discuss the budget? You know, I'm always excited about money. Yes.
So I just have one comment. I don't know if it's possible to do this. I would like to see more money go to our police department. The primary role of government is to protect our constitutional rights and to protect us from harm. The police are our law enforcers, the ones who are out on the streets protecting us all the time. I'd rather have money go to the police and getting more officers than have it go to recreation. It's not the government's role actually to provide entertainment for us. We can provide that for ourselves. So I would definitely, if there's any way possible, like to see us have more officers and a better funded police department.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Okay, I move that we go back to regular session.
Do you have a second? Second by Councilman Baird, all in favor? Aye. Great, thank you. All right, we're now back to regular session. Do I have a motion about the budget amendment? 2024.
I
I'll
will,
motion that we,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Councilman Baird.
I'll motion that we accept the amendment as proposed by Rhonda.
Do a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Also.
Second by Councilwoman Goodrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Okay, thank you. All right, Aaron, you're up next. This one should be short and sweet, right?
Short and sweet, thank you. Last time we discussed this and received approval, we just need to now have approval to add the fee schedule.
Okay,
It's the 10% discount for bill payments.
okay, any questions for Aaron about the 10% prepayment discount for reservations, right? At the golf course.
No, it
No?
was for team sports,
Yeah.
travel sports.
Travel sports, sorry. Thank you for clarifying that. I was thinking golf because we've been talking golf for a while.
just to help, for better planning and things like that, and that's right. They're very, and to register ahead of time, so we have a better idea. Or what are the other?
Yes, exactly. The other benefits are, the front office staff not having to have multiple payments coming in at different times and trying to figure out how many practices they held and they didn't have, and cancellations and things like that. So it would definitely make it more efficient for us.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain another motion.
I'll motion that we go ahead and approve the 10%.
Well,
Or
we have to go into public hearings.
public hearing again.
We gotta do public hearings, all right. We have to do each of these
Okay.
separate because they're different things. We can't do them all at once.
All right, I'll move that we go into public hearing to talk about the consolidated fee schedule.
Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. All right, we're now in public hearing to discuss the consolidated fee schedule, giving a 10% discount to people that pre-register for tournaments and things in Roosevelt. Is that correct? Travel teams? Travel teams?
I can read the information I put on the fee schedule, 'cause that's what I'm concerned about, is making
Yeah,
sure the
that-
language I put on there is reflective of what everybody wants. So I said,
Perfect, sunshine, let's do that.
10% prepayment discount is available to travel teams who pay in advance for their season reservations. Refunds will not be given for the days that are reserved and not used.
Okay. So these are the teams from Roosevelt that are going elsewhere, but they're reserving, is that?
They practice on the
That
field.
they practice on the field, right? So, okay, just clarifying, is there anyone here that would like to comment, question?
I'm gonna make a comment, I'll do kind of an unusual, I'll take off my city hat and I'll be a citizen of Roosevelt. And say, because I do know this, we are preparing to commit the city to repaying a $3.2 million debt to cover the new complex.
Right,
And it just seems to me that if anything, we might be looking at having to increase prices. It doesn't seem like the appropriate time to be looking at discounting things. However, I'm not saying I'm necessarily against that because there are some advantages like what was suggested. It's just something I want to take out there to make sure that we're looking at this from all perspectives. So.
thank you, I appreciate that. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none?
I'll move that we go back to regular session.
Okay, we have a motion on back to regular session.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Baird, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous, so, all right. I'll entertain a motion about the revised consolidated fee schedule that was proposed. A 10% prepayment discount is available to travel teams who pay in advance for their season reservations. Refunds will not be given for days that are reserved and not used. Just make sure I'm reading it.
And kind of addressing what Rhonda said, one of the things we talked about last time is that we wouldn't really be losing a lot of money because a lot of teams they'll cancel or not schedule, and so they're reserving a big time block, and so it just makes so there's less legwork for Aaron on the other side. So correct in my summary there? Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay,
I would go ahead and move that we approve the consolidated fee schedule as Sunshine has it written up.
I'll second.
second by Councilman Allen, all in favor? Oh, sorry, Councilman Baird.
No problem. I'm just gonna, so this includes golf as well? Or does it not?
No, it was
No.
soccer,
travel team.
baseball,
Yeah,
softball.
Okay. That's what I understood, I just was wondering, okay. Okay. I don't know why I thought for some reason.
probably because of my comment earlier, because I'm confused tonight, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
I'm sorry.
Second was Councilman Allen. Awesome. Onward and upward. Okay. We're to action items. Bart and Nep Miller bond alternative request. Drew?
Okay, so previously, in the past few months, we've brought to you the Summer Hills development that you have approved. Bart and Nep Miller would like an alternative to our bond requirements stated in Title 16.09.030 collateral as security. And I'll just read that section real quick so we don't have to pull it up. When approved by the City Council, the subdivider may provide other forms of collateral as security in an amount equal to the cost of improvements required as estimated by the local engineer plus. It says 15%, but we have changed that to 10% to get in line with state code for the installation of said improvements within 1 year. And it says 2, but we have revised that to 1 year as well to follow state code. Years from the approval of the final plat and subdivision. So in your packet, you've received what Annette has provided for other means of collateral as far as some security in a bank and real estate. Annette, you want to speak to any of this? So let me give you a few numbers here. The Roosevelt City requires a performance bond to be posted in the amount of 110% of the overall cost of the developer's infrastructure. The probable cost for the Summer Hills development from our engineers and from our engineer as well would be $444,500 plus the 10% for a total of $488,950. The developer would like to have an entertainment for alternative means for the bond, cash bond.
Okay.
Nope, perfect.
Any questions from council? Drew, what is your, we discussed earlier, kind of what is your thought or recommendation?
So it is in our code. We're not familiar with this type of a bond, but it is in our code for acceptance. Just so we cover our 110% through the construction period, and she has listed a lot of comparables and done her homework as far as the real estate values as well as cash in the bank. I'm not an attorney, but we'll leave that up to you guys to make that decision, but I think she has enough interest here that would satisfy the 10%. Whatever that might be. I don't think we need to hold all of it, but in addition to what our cost of the bond would require.
Okay. And for Councilman Allen and Councilman Baird, Grant Charles is unavailable tonight. He's sick. And so we don't have him here to give us any suggestions from a law point.
I would like to, city staff, I would like Grant to look at this just so we don't hold too much collateral because I don't feel like we need to hold all of it.
And we're not offering all of it. It says your choice of those properties.
So I think if we have Grant review this and choose which properties we would feel comfortable with over for that performance bond, that would be the direction I would recommend.
Can we approve that so that so that they can get moving as soon as Grant approves it? Like, what do you want
Yeah, I think that would be a good motion to entertain based upon Grant's revision or view of this.
let Grant finalize which properties, but,
Currently, we're not approved. We haven't had a plat signed,
okay.
so we can't move forward till this is taken care of.
Based on the bond is the only.
So as soon as the bond's taken care of, you can do your next step. So we can approve the bond and let Grant finalize which properties. I motion that we do that.
Okay, there's a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, Councilman Allen seconded. Was there any other questions or discussion? Okay,
I like the idea of having Grant keep it swift and just accept it as collateral and let Grant determine the amount that's necessary
cemetery and the park.
Okay, I agree as well. So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Drew, for your efforts there. All right, discussions of plans, direction, timeline for pickleball courts. Jeremy, I saw you come in a little earlier, but you're up.
Just wanted to take a minute and see if we couldn't get everyone on the same page and figure out what we do. Before I start, I want to apologize to the pickleball people. I got my calendars wrong. That's to your advantage. There's not as many here. So you don't have that. That was a scheduling conflict I had. Go ahead and hit the next one. Just a quick thing here saying that, as you can see, pickleball in the last 4 years is the fastest growing sport in America. It's been picking up steam. We're already getting high school level tournaments out in the city playing, and it's growing. It's everywhere. So what we want to do is look at repurposing the current basketball courts into 5 pickleball courts. Go to the next slide. As you can see, we're thinking about doing that. That would involve resurfacing and leveling the existing basketball courts, getting rid of the low spots, putting curbing alongside the park where the playground and the sand volleyball is, just to keep that from ruining the surface we're investing in. Putting fencing up, making the fence higher on the back wall so it doesn't hit the building that's on the back side on that shorter fence, as well as putting a couple of fences in so we have some tournament size courts that are separated and kept out. And then obviously we need to purchase the nets and do that. Along with this, we feel it's important to keep basketball. So we want to pour and get new basketball courts set up and fencing around them. And then if we can't use the standards that are at the old park, obviously get new standards if we can with that. Here's kind of a map of the overlay of what we were kind of envisioning. That's what the pickleball would look like where it is now. We're also in discussions about the mini golf course right there by the pool, and the basketball could go right alongside it right there, or it could be moved. I kind of like that idea because it gives that parking lot a buffer. Cars are less likely to have frisbees or kickballs or softballs from them warming up down there in the parking lot. But we could also look at putting it behind where the old library was or something like that. Everything costs money. Go ahead and go to the next one. So that's what we're looking at for costs. The top half is just the pickleball. To do that and get it set up where we'd like it, be right close to 67,000. And then pouring the concrete, getting the fencing around the basketball, and then new standards depending on what we can do. So the total for basketball would be another 93,000. Total cost 161. We already have 125,000 allocated for the pickleball down there. So we're about 36,000 short of getting, just that gets everything done that we're looking at for those two and keeping basketball alive. We have prepared a way to encourage donors to do things. Next one. Based on donations, we want to put windscreens up to keep the wind and stuff out. Based on donations, they can have their emblem, their logo on one of those mesh banners up at the park, as long as the banners are up. There's kind of an incentive to help and get it going. We've had several people interested. We're just waiting to get to that point where the city said we're ready to go, and we can go and we can start trying to do this and get some donations and community involvement from those who want to see it. There's a lot of businesses that have a lot of people that play pickleball too, and so they see a lot of activity in it. I can tell you hundreds of stories about how pickleball's united different groups in the community, brought people together, changed people's lives. It's something they can do. We play with a guy who's 70. He plays every day and has fun. It keeps him young and moving. So what we're asking for tonight is approval on all of this. approval for the location of the basketball and pickleball courts. If we can't get all the funding, looking at getting additional funding through it, not to exceed that amount. Until we do it, we don't know. But that would be, we either have to cut back on some things or get additional funding if we can't get more coming in. The bids for the concrete and the pickleball surface and all that's, we've got them in at the city. We've got contractors ready. The one doing the pickleball surface said someone else called him to do a private job out here. If we're close enough and he can combine them, he'll do 2 jobs at once when he drives out, and that just saves everybody who's doing it. Permission for the sponsor banners to be placed as they, donate and do that. And then we've already got a practice wall to be installed on one of the fences so that you can just go hit up against a wall similar to the tennis walls and have it there. That we just need permission to go forward and install it and get pickleball going.
Okay,
Any questions?
well, I have a couple, on your cost, how recent are those bids?
Those bids were all done earlier this winter, and they're all still ready to go forward if we don't drag our feet too long.
So
The
those,
concrete is a local guy who's doing it, he's right here in Roosevelt City, he's a local
so you're
guy.
pretty confident those bids are,
They're
good?
The one for the surface, I talked to him just 2 days ago, and it hasn't changed, the concrete hasn't said there'd be any changes as of now, so I wouldn't anticipate anything changing.
And I understand you've been already doing some fundraising and things. Do you know how much you guys have?
We've been working towards it, but we haven't really been doing anything to this level. We've donated what we have already into the pickleball fund that's at the city under their sub-account.
Okay.
So that would be everything we have so far.
Okay. Aaron, did you have any comments or thoughts on the pickleball?
I'm definitely in support of it. I know there's a need for it, and I think it'll be a great project. In addition to recreation in the city.
Okay.
And I really appreciate you thinking of the basketball.
You bet, yeah.
Right, because I think it's there all the time, so.
Yeah, there's a lot to use it.
Right.
And it's part of the overall vision the Arts Park and Rec has for that area. You can take a family, basketball, pickleball, playground, library, shade, whatever you want to do, and spend a whole afternoon without teenagers getting us bored and little kids having to, entertain themselves or whatever. And we think that's a good fit for that park so that it can be inclusive for extended family type gatherings too.
Councilman Allen or Councilman Barrett, any questions or thoughts?
I just one thought, I couldn't see any of the images that's going to be presented, so.
Sorry about that.
Great for me. But I really love what he's talking about. I love the work that they're putting into planning and thinking about ways to do this. I appreciate that. So, but yeah, I'd love to see what it looks like.
Councilman Allen?
Yeah, what's the time frame you're looking at when construction will start and when it's finish? And I apologize if that's already been discussed.
Well, it hasn't, and a lot of it just depends on the approval. The concrete guy will work it into a schedule because he's local just as soon as we know it's a go and we can start getting all that stuff going. And then the surface guy just has to wait until the concrete's ready and he can come out and resurface it. A lot of it depends on the timing you guys want. If you don't want to start pickleball until the basketball's ready, obviously we're gonna have to delay that and do it in different phases. If it being approved is enough to get pickleball going while we get basketball going and poured and happening, it's just gonna depend on that. But we would really like to have it done this summer, ready to go as soon as we can. Concrete's not hard and the surfacing isn't hard, it's just a matter of approvals.
That's
Both of
funny.
those concrete things are.
Concrete's not hard. Sorry.
Sidewalk.
My main reason for asking that, and I'm 100% in support, and I see how popular it's becoming. I just want to do it right, and I know where is now a high school station sport. I wonder if there would be any way to work with a high school. Because if we build a pickleball complex, I'd like everybody to be able to use it, or not be taken over also by the high school is, if you know what I mean. And I wonder if coordinating with high school might be a good idea. I don't know.
Have you talked to them at all to see if there's interest?
I haven't, but then I'm also of the opinion that I'm doing this for the city and the community. And if the high school wants to get involved, they can, get with us or use their resources to be involved and do it. They've got their old tennis court down there that I fully see them converting to their courts as soon as this gets momentum and rolls, and they won't really have a need for us because they have those tennis courts right along the highway that could easily convert over to that without even being too much of a bother. But that's just what I see. They may want to if we reach out to them, I don't know.
They may end up reaching out to us if we put ours in, right?
Yeah, they may
More
reach
like,
out to us.
especially if they have a tournament, and they could use both. So.
Yeah, it could be a part to use as that way, but, so no, I didn't reach out to them.
Ryan, I know with the baseball, we did the new parks, we were doing the naming stuff and write some banners and stuff. Didn't we put something together not too long ago for that?
Yeah, you're talking about for fundraising,
Yeah.
naming rights on
Is
certain things.
there a process or they would need to go through to do that as well for pickleball?
Yes, we'd need to get your approval to do that as well.
Okay. So we could do that later. We ought to focus on if we get this done, but they would have to go through our process, whatever we establish for that. Rhonda, did you have any?
So the approved budget as it sits right now has $140,000 designated for pickleball.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, I'm sorry.
Well,
That's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, not complaining. We like to keep the extra 37 available.
So 21,000 is basically what you need. There's another 15 already earmarked for pickleball.
So do you feel like then we have the funds to go ahead and proceed and have them get started?
I do know that this is something that they would have to discuss, but the recreation subcommittee of the APR has a little under $26,000 sitting right now, available for spend. I do know that Teddy's Playground, some of that money has been donated specifically for that, and they know that they're earmarking to use that for Teddy's. So.
And and some of that's gonna have to go for some of the events out of the arts committee with the extra 4th of July, and some of that we know we're not gonna have that full amount, because the arts is gonna use a lot of it, that's the expensive side. Committee's budget is just the performances and the bands and stuff. Yes, we are aware we have that there to use also.
Well, it sounds like you're really close. We have it's almost sounds
We are
like
close, and we haven't even started asking, some of these businesses that may want their name on State Street, on a fence, on a windscreen that gets high visibility.
I guess my biggest question from here is, I think we need to move forward. It's the timeline. Do we get the basketball courts in so there's a basketball spot and those kids aren't bothering the progress we're making on the pickleball? Or do we just try and just knock them both out? Do you have thoughts on that, Ryan?
Yeah, my main concern is, yes, we're gonna be kicking basketball players out. And I love the project. I love everything about it. The only concern I have is the location of the basketball courts. That I'm not saying that's a bad location, but I'm kind of curious to see what the public and their input with this new survey that's out right now on where they think the courts should go. Obviously, we got to look at security and cameras and the lighting and other things like that. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to the project at all, but I am concerned about those because I don't know if they know that we're
Kicking them out.
doing this.
Yeah.
well, and I think we'd also have to have Dustin and others go check for water lines and sprinkler lines and, if there's any electrical or gas and all those things. I don't know that there's any there, but we want to, make sure that we didn't have any problems. Dustin doesn't want to have to tear out concrete to get to it.
There is a main water line right there.
Where they're proposed, so we'd have to look at a spot where we wouldn't have that.
Forestry ground.
or reroute?
Yeah. Main sewer line right there too, yeah.
Main sewer line? Okay. And that's what I wondered, and I appreciate that you thought about where a possible location is, but obviously we'd have to look at that.
And I have talked to Ryan a little bit about a location possibly at Centennial Park or at Constitution, but we just kind of wonder if this Central Park is where it's servicing the kids the best, you know, so I guess where do we go from here? How do we get this going and just
Is it
and
possible
address that issue?
to move ahead with it pending the final location approval after the research has been done? And then we can tell contractors a rough timeline or get something going?
Yeah, I think if the basketball, I don't know what to call them,
Community.
the audience of the basketball. Anyway, I think if they knew they were getting some new ones in, because right now it'll be a huge upgrade for them as well. I mean, the backboards are broken and rusted, so they're going to be excited. So whether you do the pickleball first, I don't think it's going to be a killer on their vibe, you know what I mean? So I feel like as long as there's progress being made, and
I just think we might be able to personally, given we're only about 20,000 short, if we can get the money for the, you know, the fundraising that they talked about with signs and things, I think we could probably hit that mark if we could went ahead and started, and maybe all we do is get the pickleball done and pour the concrete pad, and then we can put the fencing and you know, I mean, we do what we can do with what we have, but if we can get that money, that could be earmarked that way is kind of what I was thinking. Because I think, I mean, we have enough to really cover
Most of
all
both,
of it.
yeah.
We're really close, so I hate to not, and I know if we wait any much longer, we're gonna lose some of those prices, and if those are, you know, good prices, I would like to get started on it.
Can we put the picture of the park back up there? Now, where are the basketball courts gonna go?
But right there by the.
Oh,
by the
okay,
pool.
okay.
Well, that was just a.
That's not where they'll go, that was just suggested by their committee.
Just to give a visual and kind of a perception of how big it would be and where it would fit, because it could fit right behind that old library, new business center, just as easy the long way. They're shooting more east-west, which is.
this is where we need to do our homework, because there's a huge sewer line that runs right through there, and some water lines, so we just
That was my concern is I know you were just putting it in a spot.
Just to start the conversation.
Right.
Yeah, we can make it work. We can just,
Could it go right behind the American Legion building? Would that cut into the volleyball court too much, probably?
there's a wellhead right there.
There's a
That's
wellhead.
where that,
I like the
Awesome.
idea of it tucking right behind the Innovation Hub, but I'm worried that the noise would bother the people in the Innovation Hub. So,
Yeah, it almost feels like it needs to go somewhere else, but,
yeah,
or else push it up against that pavilion.
sunshine.
I just had a thought that, you know, we do have our current survey out where people are being asked to recommend locations. And so maybe, you know, maybe this location is not even in their best spot and maybe it's worth just looking at what needs to
Except
happen with the pickleball courts.
in that survey, people didn't know that they were gonna lose basketball courts at that park. And so they're not gonna suggest that park, but maybe others will come to light.
That's true. Just, I've been thinking about this on locations. I don't think we need to do a great big huge court either. I think we just need to have two standards, you know, that can fit people, and also like locations. We have the new sports complex up there on the south end. There's a section that nothing's going in. I know it's kind of out of the way, but that's a spot. Centennial is another good spot.
So maybe instead of doing a great big one here, we could do
Yeah.
3 smaller
Just
ones.
kind of do some smaller ones, 1 or 2 smaller ones, you know. I was out at a park just recently and they put in a sport court and it wasn't huge. You know, I don't think we need to put something in that's huge, but just take care of those people that still play basketball, even if it was a nice floor surface, you know, to have somebody going.
Agreed.
It's something-
I think that's good. I think I don't know that we can decide on where to put the basketball. I think we need information on the survey. I think we need to get with,
And there's a
The
chance
staff.
that'll make the concrete go up, because anytime they have to prep and form and do that, two smaller ones isn't half of one big one either.
Well, no, I-
We have to consider that.
well, I'm just thinking we may want to move forward so they can get the pickleball, realizing that the basketball may be not available for a while, but as Ryan said, they're gonna get new court or courts depending upon how we do it.
They'll definitely need new standards as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old ones are the original ones, they held up great, they're awesome, but they're old. They're
No,
Not
we-
moving.
not moving yet.
It kind of echoed Dustin a little bit too. If you did a shorter one, that might put you in budget too.
Yeah, that's what.
So you're gonna be able to do both, boom, you're done, and
So, Councilman Allen, any thoughts, questions?
I think everything's been covered. I'm in favor as long as we do have a plan for the basketball courts, either one of those.
Okay, Councilman Baird?
Yeah, my thought is, when we took out the baseball diamonds there to put in the library with the promise that we put some better ones up the hill. I don't know how they took that, but I'm guessing we had probably a smaller group of people than we did there, and I assume we got through that okay. So I'm with Cody, I'm okay with it as long as we have to find moving forward on what we're gonna do with basketball.
Okay, any other thoughts?
I think let's move forward and maybe if you could have some suggestions of where it could go, if you know where the sewer line is and things for the basketball next time, I think we could kind of finalize where to go with that placement.
It's listed as a, action item. Do we need to make a motion on this?
I would appreciate a motion. I think
Okay,
they probably.
that's why I checked. I thought you did.
And then, so just trying to synthesize this into your motion, would it be appropriate to say, motion to approve the resurfacing of the basketball courts at Central Park and the pickleball courts with the understanding that we will also plan on constructing new basketball courts at a location to be determined?
Perfect. I will make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
It looks like it's unanimous, so it looks like you can get started on your pickleball courts.
Thank you, thanks for your time.
And it was good you came. You learned you had an extra 15,000 you didn't know you
Yeah,
had.
I'm coming next month.
See if you can get another 15. Huh? Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Jeff, you're here to talk about the gun range. Moving right along.
So, maybe just a quick update on the gun range of it. We're still waiting on funding. So the funding that's been applied for is through the DNR. And one of the requirements for the funding is they've come back and asked for the city to prepare an environmental assessment. So it's federal money that's coming, and so they call that the federal nexus, which is kicking that in. So the input that we've gotten from the DNR with Ryan and everybody else on kind of that committee is that kind of the next step to move forward and finalize the funding procurement is to do environmental assessment. We work on those frequently. I have environmental specialists that do that, prepare those and coordinate with the different agencies. It's just a big document. They go through all sorts of stuff. But this is our proposal from Jones and Mill to assist with the preparation of that document. There are, they're not really unknowns, but one of the critical pieces to an environmental assessment is that there's collaboration with other stakeholders, and that could be agencies or other things like that. And so there's obviously is a little unknown there of how much time that takes, but we've inflated what we feel like our proposal would be. So we're proposing $17,000, and we do that. We would anticipate coming in under that with total cost.
Okay.
So.
And Ryan, you have any thoughts?
I just want to echo what Jeff said, and this is kind of an important project, and we've been trying to get this funding for over a year now, and this is like the last step. We're hoping to get it, so I think it's well worth pursuing.
Okay, any questions, Councilman Baird?
Yeah, so this, it sounds like in order to get this funding, we want to move ahead with this. We already secured the funding, it's just, this is gonna be required anyway for the federal funding, correct?
It's gonna be required anyway, and I don't know if you wanna comment, Ryan, I won't say that the funding, like, it's not like everybody signed on the dotted line to say, yes, the funding is here, but what Ryan and I talked about is I don't think they would be asking the city to do the environmental assessment if the money wasn't essentially earmarked for this
Right.
project.
How much money?
The funding that's been asked for, just under $1 million, right? Yeah.
900,000.
And I don't remember, but like almost all grant.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a similar $3 million grant. We just got from USU in the math department, and they kept calling back, we need this and we need this. And once they start doing that, it usually indicates that you're right there. You just need to finish a couple things. They want to get you the money. So
yeah,
I would agree with that, just my experience.
That's the feedback I think we've gotten from the local representatives and even the state representatives. Yeah.
And there's no guarantees for sure. We can't say, yes, we are gonna get the money, but more likely than not, because they've gone to this step.
And the one question we have asked, and haven't gotten an answer on is typically the funding would cover some of this work too, on other grants. So there's a high likelihood, in my opinion, that you'd be able to just submit your, payments as reimbursement essentially through the grant too. So essentially the grant will pay for it. So.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Because these EAs, environmental assessments, can take quite some time. But you also mentioned that you have to work with different agencies. There would be a lead agency on this. I'm expected the agency that's giving you the grant. So,
do you remember? I don't remember which federal agency is the lead. I should, but it would be whoever the DNR usually gets their funding through. I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, but I think it's great to get it done because it could take,
I mean, typically these things, we would estimate probably at least 4 to 6 months for something like this. Because you have time restraints. You have to have public advertisements. You have to allow a certain number of days for public comment and responses from agencies and stuff like that. So yeah, they take time.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to get moving on it. So I'll make a motion to start moving on it. We don't have to allocate the funding for that, right? It's already.
Yeah, we have money we've set aside for this, so it would just be less now than we had before, but it is what it is. So we have a motion by Councilman Baird to approve and go forward with the environmental assessment.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilwoman Goodrich. All in favor?
Aye.
It looks like it was unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The financials, how do we do this? Since her and I are the only ones that have seen them. She make a motion to approve and one of the other guys second. We've never had this happen before.
Yeah, and they would be selected based on.
Okay, so we're recommending that we pass the financials, expenditures. I agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could read them up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good idea. See, that's why we have you here. Unique in construction on the Innovation Hub, 55,000. I'm not gonna read all the numbers. Duchesne County Water Conservative District, 434,000 for the sand wash. Is that the maintenance stuff that we're
It's our annual.
annual? Okay.
Secondary water.
All of this is in the
Secondary,
budget.
right,
so.
this is all in the budget. Musco, 546,000 for the lighting at the ballpark. JUB, that's our airport engineering, 19,000. Another JUB for 21,000. Unique construction again for the innovation hub, 18,000. Armor construction for the ballpark, 180,000. Fendt aviation for fuel, 29,000. Cent aviation for fuel again, Jet A fuel, different fuel, 22,000. LN Curtis and Sons, 10,000, almost 11,000 for vest for the police department. Placer Labs, about 15,000 for annual duels. That's the group that kind of does checks where people do shopping and different things that we approved a couple of years ago in council. They just kind of give us information to help us better see what's going on. And then we have our normal K&K, 89,000, PHP, 72,000, PHP's the insurance. Duchesne County Water, secondary water, 36,000. Moon Lake Electric, 22,000. URS, Utah State Retirement Systems, 55,000. And then Maverick for fuel, 12,000.
I motion that we approve the expenditures.
Second by Councilman Baird, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, that was unanimous. All right, no capital projects, no city manager, no committee reports. We do need to go to closed session for purposes listed in Utah Code, so I'll entertain a motion. And Councilman Baird and Allen, we do need you still, so if you can hang on.
I move that we go into a closed session.
Second by Councilman Baird. Councilman Allen, your vote. Councilman Baird.